What's in a name? What's so important about a name? Well, a lot's important about a name. Names are an important key to societal values. David Slauson, who's an anthropologist, recognizes naming as one of the chief methods for imposing order on perception. So let me give you an analogy. I'm from Florida, and this year we had a very narrow escape from Hurricane Dorian. Thank you, God. So, imagine we're back in caveman times now, right? And we're used to thunderstorms. It rains and thunders and the wind blows, and we've had a few of them, and they come and go, and there's seasons of it. Well, all of a sudden a hurricane comes, well, we don't know that, so it starts raining and thundering and lightning, and pretty soon the winds are 180 miles sustained, 220 mile an hour gusts, and we're going, and there's 20 foot of storm surge, and we're thinking, this is not a thunderstorm, and we're all in trouble. So what happens afterwards? Well, we get together, those of us that survived, right? And we say, what the hell was that thing? Well, we call it a hurricane, and that's how it begins, right? Because then what happens? We start to study them, and we talk about them, and we name them, and we categorize them. We got category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have radar that detects them coming. We've also done things like fortify our houses and structures here so that our houses can withstand the hurricanes. For instance, in Florida, our windows are hurricane proof. They can take an 8-foot 2x4 and launch at 200 miles an hour plus at this glass, and it will not break because we fortified our houses. We have meteorologists that, albeit they're doing their best, are trying to predict these things. And we have protocols in place where we've put in place protocols. What happened? Evacuations, bringing in supplies. We know how to handle these things because it all started with the name. That's why I named law enforcement distress syndrome, so that we could talk about it and study it. What is it? Well, law enforcement distress syndrome is a psychological condition that can occur with some law enforcement officers after prolonged exposure to what? Continuous threat. Witnessing violence, victimization, gore, crime, accidents, all of the time. The human psyche was not meant to see all of these things continuously over and over and over, and there's a psychological toll that can occur. But let's go back to my analogy now. There's PTSD and there's law enforcement distress syndrome. If PTSD is like a tornado, certainly dangerous, affects small pockets of people here and there that are located around a certain incident, and we also need to be aware of them. Law enforcement distress syndrome is a hurricane. And what I hope to do, and the whole purpose of what I've been doing for the last few years, and talking about this, and writing about it, and publishing about it, speaking about it, making all these videos, is that you all can be aware of this so that we can begin to have a discussion about this. Because when we do, and we put it on your radar, you can see it coming, and you can start to notice when and if the 8 symptoms of law enforcement distress syndrome are starting to affect you, your personal life, your quality of life, and they're starting to make you unhappy. I'm also hoping to fortify your structures. We have cement blocks houses in Florida with glass that can withstand 250 miles an hour. So I hope to give you some tools, knowledge, and understanding so that your foundation is stronger, so that when and if the storm comes your way, you are better equipped to handle it. So the more we get talking about this, the more awareness there is, the more police departments are starting to recognize this, then we can begin to make protocols so that when officers go, hey, I'm starting to have some effects, it's not like, ooh, he's messed up, let's fire him or get him off the street. It's like, oh, okay, there's plenty of things we could do. You could change assignment for a bit. You could go to counseling. You can do mindfulness and inventory, which is what I teach. You could change assignments. You could just go to the desk for a little bit. Police departments could do rotations to get people in and out of assignments. There's so many things that we could do if only we could talk about it and make a protocol. So that's the purpose of this. The great news about all this is it's finally starting to work. I mean, over the months and years we've been doing this, I've heard from law enforcement officers, and that is the only thing that has kept me going. And in September, I spoke to the Los Angeles Police Protective League Delegates Conference, which is members of the LAPD. And over the course of the weekend that I was there visiting with them, I had lots of people come talk to me. One guy came up to me and said, you know, I battled almost everything you talked about, but I found a way to work through it all. And he was proud of himself. And I'm like, yeah, great. So not every law enforcement officer is going downhill, and plenty of people find ways to work through it. And just over the course of the weekend, other police officers came up to me and said, oh yeah, like that one thing you talked about I had, or I'm hypervigilant, or yeah, I'm a little antisocial. Yeah, I could certainly paranoid, or hey, my husband's bringing home stuff and talking to the kids like they're suspects. And so what was interesting is that It just got everybody in the law enforcement community thinking and doing this mindfulness and doing this inventory about them, their families, their lives, so that we can put an end to police suicide. Help us spread the word. Everything's at stevewarnicki.com.